Most strokes that permanently disable people or that take their lives entirely were preventable. Let that sink in for a moment. Not because the medicine wasn't available, not because the doctors weren't skilled enough, not because of bad luck or bad genes, but because the warning signs were there quietly happening for weeks, and nobody recognised them for what they truly were. We've been taught to believe that a stroke is a bolt of lightning, that it strikes out of a clear blue sky, with no warning, no chance to prepare, no opportunity to stop it. And that belief, as common as it is simply wrong. Research has now firmly established that a significant percentage of strokes are preceded by clear, specific warning events. Events that most people either ignore, misinterpret, or simply don't know to take seriously. Events that, if acted upon immediately, could prevent the stroke from ever happening at all. Think about what that means. The difference between a life lived fully and a life spent unable to speak or move may come down to whether someone recognised a quiet warning weeks earlier. That is not a failure of medicine. It is a failure of recognition. And recognition is exactly what I want to give you today. So today I'm going to show you 4 of those warning signs, the specific, concrete things your body shows you in the days and weeks before a stroke. And I want to be honest with you right from the start. At least one of these has almost certainly already happened to someone you know. They probably told no one. They probably brushed it off, assumed it was nothing, blamed it on being tired or stressed or simply getting older. This video is for them, and it may very well be for you. Let me tell you what's coming, so you know why it's worth staying with me all the way through. 4 signs. Sign number 1 lasts only minutes, and because it goes away completely, vanishes without a trace. Most people convince themselves it was nothing at all. But that is the exact moment the clock starts counting down toward a full, devastating stroke. Sign number 2 is a type of headache so specific and so distinctive that it has its own clinical name, and most people who experience it have never felt anything remotely like it before in their entire lives. Sign number 3 involves your balance and your vision working against you together, and it is so frequently misdiagnosed that people are sometimes told the wrong thing for months. And then there's sign number 4. This is the one I'm most concerned about for the people watching right now, because unlike the other 3, it has nothing to do with pain or dizziness. In fact, you may not even notice it yourself. Your family notices it before you do. So please, stay with me to the end for that one. It could be the most important few minutes of this entire video. Let's begin with sign number 1, because it is the single most important cardiovascular warning your body can send. And it is also, tragically, the most dangerous one to dismiss. I want you to picture this. Imagine you are sitting down to dinner and suddenly the fork slips right out of your right hand. Your grip feels weak, almost numb, like the hand isn't quite yours. You pick the fork back up, but your fingers feel clumsy and uncoordinated, fumbling at something they've done 10,000 times before. And then within about 5 minutes, everything's completely normal again. The strength is back. The numbness is gone. You finish your meal and you barely give it another thought. Or picture this. You are on the phone with someone you love and suddenly your words come out wrong, jumbled, backwards. Not at all what you meant to say. You know exactly what you want to express. The thought is clear in your mind, but your mouth produces something completely different. And then, maybe 30 seconds later, you are speaking perfectly again, as if nothing ever happened. Or picture this one. You are sitting watching television, relaxed, and suddenly the vision in one eye goes dark, as though someone quietly pulled a curtain down across it, blotting out half of what you can see. And then, about 2 minutes later, your sight is completely clear again. The curtain lifted, everything normal. Now, if any of those scenarios sound familiar to you, or to someone you know and love, then what I'm about to tell you is the most important thing in this entire video. So please, listen carefully. Each one of those episodes is what doctors call a transient ischemic attack, a TIA, or in plain language, a mini stroke. And here is the crucial thing to understand. The symptoms of a TIA are absolutely identical to the symptoms of a full-blown stroke. The only difference is that this time, a temporary blockage in the artery dissolved on its own before it could cause permanent damage. The blood flow was restored. The symptoms vanished. And that is precisely why most people make the fatal assumption that it was nothing. Just tiredness. Just stress. Just sleeping awkwardly on an arm. But it was not nothing. It was your body sounding an alarm. It was your body telling you in the only language it has that a permanent blockage, a full and devastating stroke, may be imminent. And the numbers here are sobering. Roughly 15% of all strokes are preceded by a TIA, a warning shot that came first. After a TIA, the risk of going on to have a full stroke within the next 90 days is 10 to 15%. And here is the part that should command your full attention. That risk is highest in the very first 48 hours, which means the window between the warning and the catastrophe can slam shut within just 2 days. Why does this happen? Because the underlying cause, whether it's a plaque buildup in the carotid artery in your neck, an irregular heart rhythm, or a problem with the way your blood clots, is still very much active. The clot dissolved this time, but the conditions that created it haven't changed. The next clot may not dissolve at all. So here is exactly what to do, and I need you to hear this clearly. If any TIA symptom occurs, even if it lasts only 30 seconds and resolves completely, call emergency services immediately. Do not drive yourself. Do not wait until morning. Do not tell yourself you'll mention it at your next appointment. When you reach the hospital, tell them exactly what happened and exactly how long it lasted. Treatment started within this critical window, whether that's blood thinners, blood pressure control, or a procedure on the carotid artery, can prevent the full stroke that would otherwise follow. A TIA is a medical emergency, even after the symptoms have completely resolved. Those 48 hours afterward are the highest risk window of all. Act immediately, not tomorrow. Now let's move to sign number 2. And before I describe it, I want to be very clear about something, because I don't want to alarm anyone unnecessarily. Most headaches have absolutely nothing to do with stroke risk. Tension headaches, migraines, sinus pressure, the ordinary headaches that come from a long day or a poor night's sleep, these are common and they are almost always harmless. The headache I'm about to describe is completely, fundamentally different. And the truth is, if you experience it, you will know. This headache arrives suddenly, and I mean suddenly. It does not build slowly over hours the way a tension headache does. It arrives within seconds to a minute, at full blinding intensity, like a clap of thunder out of nowhere. Patients who survive to describe it almost universally call it the worst headache of their entire life. It may come with nausea, with a stiff neck, with a painful sensitivity to light, or with a deep, instinctive sense that something is seriously and profoundly wrong. And critically, it does not match the pattern of any headache you have ever experienced before. This type of headache has a name. It's called a thunderclap headache, and it can be a warning of something dangerous happening inside your skull. It can be caused by a small bleed in the brain from a weakened blood vessel, a bleed that can occur days or even weeks before a much larger, far more dangerous rupture. It can also come from a small tear in the wall of the carotid artery, the main vessel supplying blood to your brain. That tiny tear creates a spot where a clot can form, and that clot can then travel upward into the brain, causing a stroke in the days or weeks that follow. And there's another cause worth knowing. Severely elevated blood pressure, what doctors call a hypertensive crisis, can also produce these sudden, intense, crushing headaches. And that too signals an imminent stroke if the pressure is not brought down quickly and safely. So here is the critical rule I want you to remember. It comes down to 2 words: novelty and severity. If you've had headaches your whole life and you get another familiar one, that's almost certainly just your usual pattern. And there's no need to panic. But if you suddenly experience a headache unlike anything you have ever felt before, especially one that is sudden, severe, or accompanied by any neurological symptom at all, such as confusion, changes in your vision, or a stiff neck, then that is a medical emergency. Go to emergency care immediately. Do not simply take a painkiller and lie down in a dark room hoping it passes. That delay could cost you everything. Now, signs 1 and 2 are severe enough that most people, in the moment they happen, at least sense that something is wrong, even if they don't act on it. The next 2 signs are different. They are quieter. They come and go softly. They are frequently misdiagnosed for months on end. And they are the ones most likely to be dismissed as ordinary aging, an inner ear problem, or simply stress, right up until the moment a major stroke makes the real cause impossible to ignore. So stay with me, because these next 2 are the ones that slip past almost everyone. Sign number 3 involves your balance, your coordination, and sometimes your vision, all working together in a way that looks nothing at all like a typical stroke warning. And that's exactly what makes it so easy to overlook. Here's what it can feel like. You're going about your day, and suddenly you feel a wave of dizziness. The room seems to spin, or you feel unsteady on your feet, as if the floor itself is shifting beneath you. And then it passes, usually within a few minutes. You steady yourself. You carry on. You forget about it. But then a few days later, it happens again. Or perhaps you notice brief, fleeting episodes of double vision. Or your walking becomes slightly uncoordinated for a short while, then returns to normal. These episodes are sporadic, they come and go, and they fully resolve, which is precisely why so many people are told it's just an inner ear problem, or low blood pressure, or a side effect of one of their medications. And here's the honest truth. In many cases, those everyday explanations are perfectly correct. Inner ear issues are real and common, but there is a specific pattern where dizziness crosses the line and becomes a genuine stroke warning. And here it is. It becomes a red flag when it comes in clusters, meaning multiple episodes over a span of days to weeks, and especially when it is accompanied by any of the following: double vision, slurred speech, difficulty swallowing, numbness or weakness on one side of the face or body, or a sensation of violent, intense spinning. When dizziness shows up in those combinations, it points to two specific structures deep at the base of your brain, called the brainstem and the cerebellum. These are the structures that control your balance and your coordination, and they are supplied with blood by the vertebral and basilar arteries, which run up through the back of your neck. When plaque, or a small clot, temporarily reduces the blood flowing through those arteries, the result is exactly these episodic, resolving symptoms, and a pattern of escalating episodes, each one perhaps a little longer or a little more frequent than the last, may be signalling that a full stroke in the back of the brain is approaching fast. So here is what to do. If dizziness, unsteadiness, or brief double vision is occurring in clusters, especially alongside any of the accompanying symptoms I just listed, do not accept inner ear problem as a final answer without a proper vascular evaluation. I want you to be specific with your doctor. Ask directly for imaging of the carotid and vertebral arteries. The good news is that these arteries can be checked with a simple painless neck ultrasound, often right there in a routine appointment. Insist on it if you have to. Your persistence could be what saves you. And now we arrive at the fourth and final warning sign. This is the one I'm most concerned about for the people watching this video right now. Because unlike the other three, you may not feel it yourself at all. You may have no idea anything's happening. Instead, it's your family who feels it. It's your friends who notice it. And by the time anyone finally mentions it to a doctor, weeks may have already passed. Weeks that could have made all the difference. So here is exactly what to look for. Picture this scene. Your wife asks you a simple question. What did you have for breakfast? And you stare at her. You're not tired. You're not distracted. You are genuinely, completely unable to retrieve that information for about 45 seconds. It's just gone. A blank space where the memory should be. And then, just as suddenly, it comes back. Completely. She asks if you are okay. You tell her you're fine. And neither of you connects that strange little moment to stroke risk. Why would you? Or picture this. At dinner, you ask your son the very same question 3 separate times in the span of 5 minutes, genuinely not remembering that you'd already asked it. He assumes you're just tired or distracted. You assume the same thing. The moment passes, unremarked. Or perhaps a friend notices that, for about 10 minutes during lunch, you seemed somehow not fully present. A little confused, a little out of character, and then completely back to your normal self before the meal was even over. Nobody says anything. Everyone moves on. These episodes, these brief, complete, fully resolving lapses in memory, in orientation, even in personality, can represent small, temporary interruptions in the blood flow to your cerebral cortex, the thinking surface of your brain. They are not severe enough to produce the classic weakness or slurred speech of a typical TIA. But make no mistake, they are still warning signs of compromised blood supply to the brain. And here is what makes this fourth sign so uniquely, insidiously dangerous. The person experiencing it very often notices nothing unusual at all. From the inside, it can feel like a momentary blank, easily explained away. It is the people around them, the spouse, the children, the close friends, who actually observe the change. And that means this sign almost never triggers a medical visit on its own. The person feels fine. And by its very nature, by the time they realise something happened, it has already passed. So let me give you the distinguishing features that separate this vascular warning from ordinary harmless forgetfulness, because the difference matters enormously. First, sudden onset. It comes on in seconds, not gradually over time. Second, complete resolution. There is a full return to completely normal function within minutes. And third, recurrence. It happens more than once, and quite possibly with increasing frequency over time. Ordinary forgetfulness is gradual and partial. This is sudden, complete, and repeating. In fact, these episodes are sometimes called transient cognitive attacks. And in people with widespread arterial disease affecting multiple arteries in the brain, these attacks tend to increase in both frequency and duration in the weeks leading up to a major stroke. So here is what to do. If you, or more likely your family, have noticed episodes that match this description, sudden, brief, completely resolving confusion or memory blanks, I want you to mention them to your doctor using this exact language. Say, "I've been having episodes of sudden confusion that resolved completely within minutes." That precise phrase will trigger the right clinical response. It tells your doctor this isn't ordinary forgetfulness and that a vascular evaluation is warranted. Use those words, they matter. Now let me bring everything together, because the common thread across all four of these signs is the single most important idea in this entire video. Every one of these four signs represents a window, a precious, time-limited period during which medical intervention can prevent the stroke from ever happening at all. But, and this is the crucial part, these windows close. The clot that caused a TIA can reform permanently within 48 hours. The weakened vessel behind a thunderclap headache can rupture. The narrowing artery causing episodic dizziness can occlude completely. So you must act inside the window, not after it has closed. Before I close, I want to give you a tool that every senior and every family member should have memorised. It's called the FAST acronym, and it could save a life. Let me walk you through it, and then I'll expand it with what we've learned today. F is for face. Look for face drooping. One side of the face droops or feels numb. Ask the person to smile and watch closely. Is the smile uneven, lopsided on one side? A is for arm. Look for arm weakness. One arm is weak or numb. Ask the person to raise both arms above their head. Does one of them drift slowly downward, unable to stay up? S is for speech. Listen for speech difficulty. Their speech is slurred, strange, or they're unable to speak or to understand what's being said to them. And T is for time. Time to call emergency services. Immediately. Even if the symptoms resolve. Even if you're not entirely sure. When it comes to the brain, every minute counts, and it is always better to call and be wrong than to wait and be too late. And now I want you to add 4 more warnings to that list, the 4 we've covered today. A brief neurological episode that resolves on its own. A sudden new headache unlike any you have ever had before. Recurring dizziness with visual symptoms. And sudden memory blanks noticed by your family. Any one of these in any combination deserves to be treated with exactly the same urgency as the classic FAST signs. Your window is open. Please use it. If this video gave you information that could protect someone you love, please share it right now before you close this app or move on with your day. Stroke is the leading cause of long-term disability in the United States. And in so many of those heartbreaking cases, a warning came first and it was dismissed as nothing. You have just learned to recognize 4 of those warnings. That knowledge, passed to one more person, could change the course of a life. And make sure you subscribe and hit that notification bell. Because my very next video covers the single most important heart rhythm disorder that causes 1 in 5 of all strokes, and I'll show you how to check for it yourself. At home, in between your doctor visits. If you care about protecting your brain, you won't want to miss it. And finally, I'd love to hear from you. Drop a comment below and tell me which of the 4 signs surprised you the most. And if you or someone close to you has ever experienced any of them, please consider sharing your story. Your honesty could be the very thing that convinces another person watching to take their own warning seriously. Stay vigilant, stay aware, and never forget, your brain is absolutely worth protecting.